So it has been, I think, just slightly over 13 months since my last significant order from Mandarake. As I mentioned before, I tend to order wholesale, not exactly wholesale, but it's almost wholesale price. I tend to order personal giant boxes of anime collectibles from Mandarake, Japan, about once a year. So it's been just over a year. So as you can see, I managed to scrape up enough money to order one large box. So it's time for us to not use an inappropriate tool to open this box, and instead open this box with an actual appropriate box cutter and examine the contents of my latest order. Some of this, I'm sure, will not impress anyone. I think there are at least a few items in here which I think may surprise at least most of you 3 or 4 viewers out there that actually watch this. I find that as I am getting older and as my house is getting more full, I tend to change my collecting habits. So I don't collect quite as many figures and display items as I used to because I literally have no place for them to display any longer. I still have things in storage from my last physical visit to Japan. So I'm started collecting more along the more esoteric lines of things that I know that I consciously have but don't necessarily need to display. So thankfully, unlike Surigaya, Mandarake does package very, very carefully. But however, they also only ship in 2-size boxes, so which means that if your order is just slightly bigger than their small box, then you get like potato chip empty space with lots of packaging in the big box. But I'd rather have it this way than other way. Now, for reference, because I'm going to be completely transparent about this, the contents of this box was right around $200, or technically right around 20,000, 200? 20,000, yeah, it's right around 20,000 yen. Right now, because of COVID, Mandarake is only shipping to America via DHL, so the DHL Express on this 8-pound box was $300. You can laugh at me because I laugh at myself for that. So total cost here was about $500. However, that averages out to about $5 per piece, or about $5 per item in shipping cost. So one of the first items that I got in here, or one of the first 2 items, were legitimate, licensed, and you can see, actually, if I can ask Phil, my cameraman, to zoom in on this, at least for a little bit, you can tell that these are officially licensed Opie mouse pads. You can see that there is a One Piece and Toei logos on these. So these are not Chinese bootlegs. These did come from Tokyo. But I have the Agretsuko t-shirt and also the Nami and Robin Opie mouse pads. Now, I haven't actually decided if I'm going to use one or either of these, or if I'm going to keep them as collectibles, or if I'm going to sell them. But these were about $10 a piece before shipping. So at $10 a piece, I could not resist these, and for obvious reasons. There is another of its kind in this box somewhere, but we'll get to it when we get to it. This is a Ichiban Kuji Kinkara SD figure of, what was her name? Izumi. Am I right? If I remember correctly, this is Izumi from Working. I was a big fan of the Working franchise. I did watch all 3 TV seasons, and I really loved all of the characters. So seeing a little figure like this, how much? 200 yen? So this figure was $2. So when you include shipping, so you know, about $7.50, maybe $8 total. So I think even at $8, this is still a very good deal, and I'm really happy to have this, even though I don't know if, when, or where I will ever display it. There are... Actually, let me start with this. Hopefully, some of you will recognize Fuka Ayase. Fuka is the next-door neighbor of Yotsuba. I've been putting off buying this figure for a number of years, but I finally decided I should get one because I have the Yotsuba matching figure, and so I wanted to... Actually, I believe, I think I have the Yotsuba and also... What was her sister's name? Forgive me. I'm sure that you remember. She has a younger sister. I believe that there is a figure of her younger sister in this series also, which I have. So I wanted to get the 3rd figure as well. And what would you get? Let's see. Is there a price on this? What did I pay for this? There is not a price on this. As I recall, this was something like... I'm sure that this was under $10. I mean, figures like this, they're a little bit older, are very, very inexpensive. I have the Queensblade Ultra Nendoroid figure. I do like Queensblade, but I can't say I'm the biggest devoted fan, so I have not collected all of the Queensblade Nendoroid figures, and I don't have any other Queensblade figures. However, I do have Ultra, who I thought was adorable, and I bought her at full price when she was released. Reina here was 1,000 yen, so roughly $10. Then once again, when I add the $5 in shipping costs, roughly $15 for any Nendoroid figure is a really good price. Now, she is pre-owned. However, pre-owned by Japanese standards means virtually new. Or actually, this might just be old stock. This sticker actually says unopened. So this might actually be a brand new condition figure that simply did not sell and got clearanced out. So I may have actually just gotten a brand new factory sealed Queensblade Nendoroid figure for about $15. So I'm certainly happy about that. If you've watched my Mandarake videos from a year ago, actually I think I already have one of these Mari figures. The problem, as I mentioned, with having lots of anime collectibles and figures that I don't display is that I tend to forget what I have. So this figure was, again, very inexpensive. There's not a price, there's details on here, but there's not a price on here. I'm going to tentatively say she was probably only $3 or $4, so I'm sure, I guarantee she was under $10, including the shipping. I bought the first one because I did not have a Mari figure, but I also half intended to sell it. I don't think I ever did sell it, so now I have 2 of them, so I now will definitely probably try to at least sell one of these. But they're also cheap enough that I don't mind hoarding them. Let's see. There's a story here. I will lean forward so you can see exactly what this is. The Q Posket figures from Bon Presto and Bandai are pretty cute looking. However, I have to admit that being the poor J-pop fan that I am, I sometimes tend to forget or get confused between Hige of X Japan and Spread Beaver and Hyde, or Haido, the vocalist for Lark and Ciel. In my mind, because I started listening to X Japan in 1987, in my mind, Hide is always the guitarist with the gigantic hair, the gigantic red hair. So I'm not used to seeing Hide with short hair. So this figure was $1. I thought to myself, it's $1, I'll buy it because I'm sure I can find a J-pop fan that I can resell it to for like $5 or even $10. I'll make a little bit of profit. They'll be happy to have it. Because I was thinking to myself that this was Hyde from Lark and Ciel. However, after I ordered it, I realized, looking at it, researching it, I realized, wait, no, this is X Japan's former guitarist Hide, which means that now my cameraman Phil and I are going to have a death match over who gets to keep this. Because I like X Japan a lot. Phil actually might outrank me as a X Japan fan. My preferred performers of X Japan, I lean toward naturally Toshi and Yoshiki. So Hide is simply not one of my personal idols, even though I do desperately and dearly love X Japan. So we're going to find out exactly how much Phil wants this figure, and this might actually go home with him. And on that same subject, I am not a gigantic fan of Dr. Stone. There are shonen anime that I think I prefer over Dr. Stone. However, I have watched all of the anime with some caveat. With the Season 2, Episode 0 premiere episode, preview episode, I will admit that Phil and I were bad fans, and I just skipped to the end where the new footage was, and we just watched the new footage. But I do think Phil actually might be a bigger fan of Dr. Stone than I am, even though we have both watched all of the anime, and I bought the first 3 volumes of the manga. However, when I saw this Dr. Stone figure available for... How much was this? I probably should have looked up the prices on this. I want to say, I think this was $10 because it's a newer figure. However, it does also say unopened, so this might actually be a factory sealed, unsold, old new stock item. But when I saw this at $10, I thought Phil would really love this. And Phil helps me out, does plenty of like computer tech service favors for me when I need them. So I'm happy to return a favor when I can with stuff like this. Mandarake, let's see, does occasionally get some odd stuff. Hopefully, at least some of you will recognize this. This is apparently Mascot B. However, I'm hoping that at least some of you will realize that this is a full plush, stuffed, fully embroidered 10 keychain from USA Atsura. Since this was only $2 or $3, I don't try to collect every USA Atsura item, but considering that this is a relatively obscure item, a relatively obscure character, even though he's one of the major characters in the show, remember the show is now 30 years old. No, more than that, isn't it? 82... No, that's right. Just about close to 30 years old. For the price, I decided I had to have this plush 10 mascot figure. I did not realize when I ordered it that, similar to the Mari figure, I also already had one of these Yamada figures from working. However, this is an adorable figure of Yamada in a cat-like pose with a taiyaki in her mouth. You can perhaps see that. This, again, was under $10. So even with the shipping, it would still probably have been somewhere, I'm guessing somewhere under 15 bucks. So since this was a duplicate, this is one that I will put up for sale at one of the rare occasional local conventions that I attend. I am not a modeler. However, I do find vintage model kits fascinating. I'm a big fan of Leda, of, wow. I can see that my anime trivia has somewhat failed me because I don't remember the full Japanese title. Something Senki Muto? I know there's an Eminere Senki Leda. I can't remember the full title of Leda, the 1984 OVA. However, as you can see, this is a Fantastic Adventure of Yoko Leda plastic model figure that, as you can hopefully see, comes in a really neat twin replica VHS box packaging. It is, of course, the plastic figure of Leda and also the figure of her motorcycle. Now, since I am not a model builder, I am never going to actually take this out of the package. I just think that it's a super, super neat vintage Leda collectible. As you can see from the price tag, this was 1,200 yen. So a little bit more pricey than most of the items I bought. However, the uniqueness and the novelty of this clearly and unquestionably made this very worthwhile to me to own. All right. We'll deal with this in a moment. I mentioned that there was one more Opie mousepad from Ichiban Ushiro no Daimao. There is yet another Opie mousepad. This particular, let's see, is there a price on this one? I don't remember. I don't remember what this would cost. I want to say that this was under $5. This was, I want to say this was like $3 or $4 before the roughly $5 in shipping that I paid for it. So this is one that I will probably offer up for sale. But considering that this is a officially licensed Ichiban Kuji, Ichiban Ushiro no Daimao Opie mousepad, I'm sure that it's worth more than I paid for it to a collector out there or fan out there. The Van Presto UFO Catcher EXQ figures are plentiful. If you have not been to Japan, you may not know that these, sorry, let me make sure I don't tip anything over here. These are in UFO catcher machines in Japan. That's why they're so prolific. That's why they're everywhere. For example, a lot of American hobby stores carry these. That's why they're relatively cheap, because they're prize catcher machine toys. So they're made in gigantic quantities to fill multiple arcade machines everywhere in Japan. And because not everyone actually fishes them out of the machines, there's gigantic numbers of them left over afterwards. So that's why they're dumped afterwards at super low prices. In terms of super low prices, this Miriam, from the time I got reincarnated as a slime, was... Alright. These came from the Mandarake warehouse, so I guess they don't put prices on these any longer. I believe, as I recall correctly, the Miriam was only $2 or $3, and the Shinobu was probably under $5. But they're gorgeous looking figures, and for the price, I simply couldn't pass them up. I don't know how many of you will remember the mascot character, Afro-Ken. Back in the early 2000s, I really, really loved Afro-Ken, or Afro-Dog, As you can see, they are dogs with giant afros. There was a 3D CG anime OVA for Afro Ken. I actually bought that on R2 DVD. That's how much I loved Afro Ken. So when I found that for $8, I believe it was $8, for $8 I could get an officially licensed Afro Ken portable, like, umbrella. Ah, that's what it is. I don't know if the umbrella itself has an icon, but there is an Afro Ken head emblazoned in the butt of the handle. But an official Japanese Afro Ken purse size or carry size travel umbrella was worth it to me for being such an unusual novel collectible. I adore Kimono Friends. I will say from the outset that I was one of the supporters of the Kimono Friends television series from the very first episode. You can go back and research that to verify that, because a lot of people did hate on the show very early on. Granted, I did criticize somewhat, but I did like the show from the very outset. And I really, really do love Serval. So, this, again, is a Sega prize figure. This, because it's a larger figure, a nicer quality figure, I believe this was also about $10. However, with shipping, about $15 for the combination of Serval and the Lucky Droid is easily worth the price to me. So I'm very, very happy to have picked this up. This is a rubber keychain of Beatrice from ReZero. This was $2 or $3. As I'll start getting into now, and as I mentioned before, in order to try to offset shipping costs, I will try to purchase as many cheap and small items as I can. So this was only $1 or $2. So you might say for $1 or $2 it's not bad. When you add an average of $5 in shipping onto it, now it becomes like a $6 or $7 keychain. Well, actually, that's probably what these cost at American conventions, so that might not actually be that far off. But I do like Beatrice. I do think she's an amusing character. But this is one of the kind of things that I buy to bulk out the quantity of items, so that way I can average out the shipping cost per item and lower the total average shipping cost. The last thing in this box is a Stitch small digital photo frame. I have a friend of a friend who is particularly generous and also happens to be very devoted to the Stitch franchise. So when I'm able to find unusual or novel or particularly foreign Stitch items like this digital photo frame, which was $10, I buy this to pass along as a gift to her. So now let's tackle the thin stuff. I mentioned that there would be some particularly surprising items in this box. They're in here. Actually, maybe this is where I should use the knife. Let's see. First item in here. This is the first manga volume of, let me see if I can remember this, Hiroyuki Takahashi's manga Dororon Okuni-chan. Now, if you'll indulge me for just a moment while I get this out of its plastic wrap, the reason why I'm not familiar with the manga, however, it is a bit cute looking, But the reason why I bought this manga is because this manga was, I think, $3. And it has an original hand-drawn illustration inside it. So I thought that that by itself would make this a unique item. So this isn't something that I necessarily need to put up on a shelf and display, but it's something that I'll be happy to know that I have. And for the under $10 shipped across the ocean in a week that it cost, I'm very, very happy with this purchase. This is another rubber keychain. This item is Rebecca and Vivi from One Piece. I believe this was $1. It's simply, especially with the entire packaging, simply a very nice looking display piece. So this is one of the items that I bought in order to balance out or average out the shipping cost. So when I consider that it cost me $1 plus about $5 in shipping, $6 for this, not so bad, not terribly bad. This is another item. Actually, I just want to show it this way because we can't unfold it. But as you can see, it's a Boku no Hero Academia hand towel. This, again, I'm pretty sure was $1. I'm not a huge fan of Boku no Hero Academia, but I do know how popular it is. So these are the kind of items that I pick up for $1 so that I can hopefully resell them. And for something like this I might put up for sale for like $5 at a convention. So technically I might lose money on this by like $1 or $2, but you know, on the whole it all balances out. So that's why I tend to purchase items like that. Now, actually, since we're on the subject of Boku no Hero Academia, here's one of the reasons why I made this purchase in the first place. This is the 2012 issue of Shonen Jump magazine that features the first published chapter of Kohei Horikoshi's Boku no Hero Academia. So, literally, in terms of worldwide, this is the first appearance of My Hero Academia. Now, this particular magazine cost $50. However, when I consider how popular the Boku no Hero Academia franchise is, and I consider how rare a magazine like this has to be now, because typical Shonen Jump manga magazines are destroyed in Japan, so few of them are kept. There can't be a whole lot of copies of this left in existence. So I thought to myself that $50 for this was definitely worthwhile as both a piece of anime history and as an investment. So I haven't actually decided yet whether I'm going to attempt to resell this or whether I'm just going to tuck it away in my personal collection. But in either case, at least for now, I'm very, very happy to have it. And similar to that, but even more rare and even more of a historical piece, is this Shonen Sunday. I believe this is, am I right? Is this Shonen, yes. This is a 1978 Shonen Sunday magazine. What is particularly interesting and historically relevant about this magazine includes the Kate na Yatsura manga chapter, the 30-page first published manga story by Rumiko Takahashi. Now, I'm sure I don't need to explain who Rumiko Takahashi is, because if you're watching this video, you've probably heard of her, you're probably familiar with who Rumiko Takahashi is and how relevant she is to the history of manga and anime. So acquiring the first professionally published work by Rumiko Takahashi from 1978 is one of the new treasures of my anime collection. This I will die with, I'm certain. Surprisingly, even at Japanese prices, The magazine, the Shonen Sunday magazine, that includes the first appearance of Urusei Yatsura, runs several $100s. This magazine, however, was $50. So I'm very surprised by how relatively affordable this was. And for $50 to have this very, very unique piece of significant anime history really makes me very, very giddy. I had had my eye on this particular Studio Pierrot book for a number of years now. I'm not very familiar with the content of the book. Of course, it has Urusei Yatsura, Kimagure Orange Road, and Creamy Mammy, but I don't know exactly what the interior content was. However, this book was, I believe, 1,000 yen. So, actually, that's cover price. So I can't complain about paying cover price for it, especially considering that it's a number of years old. And it's a book I've never seen in America. It has taken me many years to complete my collection of Dirty Pair Shikijiki. However, these two items are the last two Dirty Pair pencil boards that I am missing from my collection. Now, as far as I know, I have every existing Dirty Pair and Dirty Pair Flash pencil board ever published in Japan. These two were $20 a piece before shipping, which is why I hesitated for so long to buy them, because typically my cutoff price for even vintage and collectible Shikijiki is $15. However, I decided I want to finish this collection before I die. So even though they're a little bit more expensive than what I would be entirely happy with, I'd rather just pay a little bit extra and finally finish this collection. So I'm very happy to now finally have these. This is a Ichiban Kuji Bakumono Gatari large postcard book. It's actually called Postcard set, even though, as you can tell, they're as large as my head. So they're quite sizable postcards, and I believe there are 4 of them in here. This is a dollar item. This is one of the items that I buy to average out shipping costs. That's what most of these remaining items were, so I'll run through these pretty quickly. A Mari Evangelion 2020 clear file. This was either 50 cents or $1. This was also a particularly interesting looking 2-pack of Ichiban Kuji Evangelion clear files. This 2-pack, again, was $1 or maybe $1.50. These I might actually keep because they're so unique and interesting looking, though. I did pick up a number of Dragon Ball clear file sets. I believe there are 2 clear files in each of these packages. This package was $1. This is one that I will probably try to resell at a convention for like $5. I picked up the Wano Country Nami clear file. This again is I believe this is, actually this might be a single clear file. I thought this might be a 2-pack. It is, sorry. As I look down here at the small print, there are 2 Nami clear files in here. I do like Nami, so as you can tell, so I will keep this one. I've mentioned that I'm not a big fan of Boku no Hero Academia. However, this Urara clear file and large postcard set is quite pretty looking, so this I might keep. However, I might also consider selling this at a convention. Once again, this is something that I bought to average out shipping. It's something that will be relatively inexpensive if I was to resell it. There's another One Piece clear file set. This one clearly with Boa Hancock and with Nefertiti Vivi on the back side. Actually, on the opposite clear file. There are two clear files in here. We have another Boku no Hero Academia 2-pack of clear files. This one I'm not quite as attached to. This one I will probably stick in my pile of stuff to resell at some future local convention. Here's another Dragon Ball clear file set. The front side from Dragon Ball Super Heroes, the current Bandai arcade game. I mentioned that I did buy several sets of Dragon Ball clear files. Each of these is 2 separate clear files. And once again, these were $1, maybe $1.50. But considering that there's 2 of them, yeah, pretty good deal. Now, I did end up paying, $6 or so after the shipping costs, but that's still not a bad price. This may be difficult to distinguish. This is a Sumi ink style Dragon Ball, I guess, sport towel. It's too small to be a bath towel, so I'm not sure exactly what type of towel you would call it, but you can see they're lengthy, kind of golf. I guess maybe this would be a small golf towel. I might keep this, because this pretty unusual, pretty neat looking. Here again, yet another Dragon Ball Super. I believe this is from the games. That one says Dragon Ball GT. Ichiban, Kuji, Dragon Ball Greatest Saiyan. I'm not actually sure what Greatest Saiyan is, so feel free to inform me if you'd like. It's related to Dragon Ball Super, so some kind of promotional or game spinoff. And is this the final item? I bought this because, again, I think it was $1. This is a replica production cell. It does, as you can see, include even a replica Genga, and it includes a cardboard frame for display. It's a nice looking piece. I like Jihachiko the way just about everyone does. But moreover, considering that this was like $1, I figured that this is an item I can probably resell for, $8 or $10 at a convention to help recover some of my total cost here. So I do have one other very small Mandarake order coming in. However, it's small enough that I may not even bother doing an unboxing video for it. However, I do hope that this gives you another sense of what kind of things I buy for myself and my own collection, and what kind of unique items are available at bargain prices from Japan if you're willing to go through some effort to get them. So, thanks for sticking with me. I'll talk to you next time.